Hi guys, as requested I'm doing a tour of my fish room. Now obviously this isn't my fish room, but I wanted to start here because it leads into the fish room. This is actually my garage. It's a little messy right now. I have all of EBS's beanies in those giant boxes right there, and I've been cleaning my own beanies as well. But I wanted to show you, this is my utility sink where I wash all my jars or do whatever I need to do. Obviously it's filled up right now because I just went through and scrubbed all my beanies, so I had to put all my fish in those deli cups. Also here is my RO unit and my Python, which I hook up to this sink and go and fill my tanks up in my water can or whatever. I also have a giant box of almond leaves. I have the critter keepers for Eastern Beta Society and more critter keepers and buckets, and this is also where I keep my fish food, most of it anyway, and some organic mixed vegetables, which are always good too. So this is where it started. I would have loved to have turned this into my own fish room, but my sister doesn't think garages should be fish rooms. She thinks they're for cars. So let's go into, this is Bella. She'll be your tour guide. This is the fish room. It's also the cat room, as you can see by this wall. Before I moved in, my sister had her cats down here, and so when my cats moved in, it just became kind of a cat room, and eventually I took over the other half, or I guess 3/4, with the fish. So let's start. Over here I have my buckets that I do water changes with, and then in those drawers over there are just stuff like my test kits and some flashlights and stuff like that. Music, always have music. Down there I keep the standards. I always look at the standards all the time when I'm looking at my pairs, deciding what I want to breed. This is my 55. It has Susie, who is supposed to be a Midas cichlid. There's some we're not quite sure if she actually is a full Midas cichlid or maybe mixed with Red Devil or whatever, but whatever she is, she's mean, and she's going to get a lot bigger. Down here is my 40-gallon, which right now has goldfish. Eventually I want to turn it into a grow out. I want to put the goldfish in something a lot bigger once they get a lot bigger. Over here is down here is my 30-gallon with the ocelota. I have 2 males, a female, and what I think is another female. I'm not quite sure. It could just be a submissive male. I don't know. I can't see one. They're all hiding right now. Oh, there's one. They love the floaty logs. You gonna come out? I think he might be holding. Then up here we have my 26-gallon with my patati adults and a few fry and a whole bunch of baby mystery snails, which were a surprise. My patati are down here. It looks like they're probably getting ready to spawn. The female's in the back and the male is in the front. I call them Kitty and Red because I love that 70s show, and my male is a big red male. He's a little pale right now, but normally he's a lot redder. I think they are about to spawn. I wanted to show you, I have my air line coming from my pump that's all the way over there, and one arm of it comes over here, and I have a manifold that runs all these tanks. So all these tanks that have, this tank has 2 sponge filters and an air stone. This tank has an air stone. This one and this one both have just 1 sponge filter. All run off one single pump. Not to mention everything else in the fish room. And then I have timers for the lights, of course. Then we go on. The treadmill is here. That was a agreement I made to be able to redo the fish room, that we could put the treadmill there. So you got to make compromises. Over here is my, I call it my grab and go kit. It's a shower caddy that has everything that I've ever had where I've said, where is this thing? So I always lose my scissors. It has my scissors. my battery filler and my turkey baster. It has my tongs that I use for everything, not just my plants. A bunch of pipettes, nylon, salt, pens, Sharpies, dry erase markers, spoons, prime, and of course gloves, which are very important. It's all in this nice little caddy with a handle that I can move all around the fish room if I want to. And then of course some extra deli cups and pet store cups, which are good for thawing out bloodworms and other such things. The airline, I don't know if you can see it. You can see it right there. It's 3/4 inch and it runs from that manifold over there all the way down and around over here to my pump, which is a linear piston pump from Gemco. I don't know if you can see that. It's a LPH 26 model that I was lucky enough to get used at a Steel. And then, as you can see, it has another line that runs over to my other rack over here. This rack in the middle are my jars, and I put this rack here for this specific reason because I like to be able to get to both sides because I do have 2 rows of fish. So all this rack has heat tape on it. I used the 12-inch from Pangea, and it all hooks into one thermostat, which is over here. So the thermostat's hooked into a power strip, which is right there, and I run all of these off that one thermostat. But if you're wondering why the water's blue, in the spring, a lot of times I'll notice my fish seem to get sad, and there's not really any kind of reason for it. There's no velvet, there's no anything, but they're just not looking good. And I found that if I treat them with meth blue for a few days, they seem to perk up, and as you can see, they all are looking pretty perky right now. These are my females. And then down here are my males. And I have a few spots because I have some pairs and spawn tanks right now. Here's all their plants from their jars because I didn't want the meth blue to kill them. This is my trash can. It's a 32 gallon. I keep my water in here. There's an air stone in there. There's a heater because my room is not heated. I have to provide heaters for every tank. And then I have a nice pump with the 3/4 inch hose that will fill up tanks super fast. I also, if I need to do a big water change on one of these guys, I'll stick the pump in there too and pump the water out really fast. Trash can, paper towels. I just took a hook and zip tied it on there and made myself a paper towel holder. More jars. This stuff is excellent. I wanted to talk about it. This is, I'm not really sure what you would call it. It's acrylic and it's made to go up in lights. Like if you had fluorescent lighting fixtures, it's the kind of the shade that goes between the light bulb and everything. And I got this tip from another breeder here in Virginia, and I just cut it down. I actually got these pieces pre-made from the guy that sold me the pump. He was taking his fish room down, but you just buy it. It comes in big sheets and you can cut it down, and it's great for covering jars. I have a regular piece of acrylic here covering jars, and I have more of this kind of acrylic covering these jars, and it makes it great because I can just remove that one piece and feed all these jars at once. Also, I don't know if you can see this, I use it because right now I'm half carding my fish. I didn't have them carded for a while, and I noticed they just were kind of blah, and they always seem to do better when they're carded, but carding is a pain in the butt because you have to pull the cards all the time and let them flare. So I stole this tip from Jeanne, and I'm half carding them. So I have this acrylic here, and it comes up to a certain degree, and then I also have the cards about an inch short so they can flare at their neighbors too. And so it's the same way for the males also. And then this is one I had cut. It's the same material. It was just cut to cover a bunch of jars versus one row. But definitely good stuff. I love this. I definitely recommend it. It's at Home Depot and Lowe's. It's extra cheap. I don't know what it's called, but if you go into like the woodworking section and ask them, they'll know what you're talking about. Let's see, down here is just storage right now. Eventually I can put heat tape and fill all these shelves up with jars. I have LED rope light. It's just one single rope to light this whole shelf, and I just put that in there because I wanted light, but I needed something that was super cheap, so this works. I don't need to grow a lot of plants or anything with these, so they work fine for what I need them for. Over here you can get a better view of my thermostat. It's a HC Phoenix heater controller. And so I just hook it up into a power strip, and then I plug all my heat mats into this. The reason I do it this way versus having it run in one line, which you can do, is because, as you can see, I don't have all my shelves full. So it's nice to be able to just unplug the ones I'm not using and only heat the ones I am using. It saves on electricity. Over here is just some kind of note stuff I use to remind myself stuff. My IBC card, which I always lose. And then you can see again the air line runs along this baseboard, and it comes up here into this manifold for this tank. Let me back up and give you a view of this tank. I mean this shelf, sorry. This is, I call it my spawn rack because it's pretty much all babies. Besides this dude over here, just because he fit good right there. It's 48 inches long and 24 inches wide, and I forget how tall it is. It's about 1.5 meters, so it's pretty tall, hence the stool. I can't even see the fish in the top of these on this top shelf without standing on the stool. And again, I have extra rope light down there, which is why that's glowing, but I have rope lights for these tanks just until I can get a nice 48-inch LED fixture to go. These are 5-gallon spawn tanks and a 5-gallon rubra tank. Down here are 10-gallon spawn / grow out tanks. This one has giant red wax swordtails that I saw at the local fish store and had to get just because they're so big. And here is baby patati. You can see one right there. And there's baby red wax swords down there too. They're hiding in the guppy grass. Down here I have even more patati. I don't know if you can see it or not. Where are they? There's some. These are some of my older kids. On the side I keep my fry foods. I have vinegar eels right now. I ran out of Walter worms, so now I have to buy more. I let them die. And then this is the manifold coming from the air pump that's on the other side. I can run not only my trash can, but all these tanks on this manifold and this one. And then I have a third up here, which is mostly just bleeding off because ideally a linear piston pump is put into a loop, whereas mine is just kind of 2 arms, so I have to let off some of the back pressure from it not being in a loop. Eventually I will make a loop, but this is what I got when I bought this setup used, so this is what I'm using for right now. And as you can see on this manifold, I have numbers that correspond to each. I don't know if you can see that. They correspond to each of the tanks. So I have 4, 3, 2, 1, and again 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. My female rubra is in here in timeout because she was bothering the male too much, and I need to get more plants put in there for them too. Up here's baby snails, and then some spawns that I have going on. The ones that are covered are still spawning. This guy is uncovered because I'm about to pull him out because he's not even trying to spawn. Up here I have storage, stuff that I don't use a lot, like extra air pumps and saran wrap for covering tanks and stuff like that. Lots of salt, extra lights, cardboard and index cards for carding fish. I keep in this handy dandy little I don't know what you call that. It's like a dip and pour, I guess. I don't know. You tell me. I think that's everything. That's Spots. He's just chilling out. He's not getting bred. I just saw him at the pet store and liked him. Over here is pegboards that my sister built, and I love this idea because it covers the side of the tank so you can't see any of the cords. The cords are all hidden behind here. I don't know if I can move it so you can see it or not. All my cords are down there. So you can't see the cords, and I can also hang all my stuff that I need. So I have my food, I have nets, I have medications, water treatments, Indian almond leaves. My little stool hangs right there for when I'm looking down at these littler tanks. And it all just hangs up on these guys, and as you can see right here, there's just hooks, so I can take them off if I need to get to the side of the tanks for any reason. When I'm not using the water can, it goes right in there. That's why there's so much space between these two shelves, and that just allows for more storage. I have my swivel chair here that I'll sit in and look at all the tanks or look at the TV or whatever I need to look at, and Bella sits there and offers moral support. I think that's everything. So if you have any questions or comments, let me know. It's a work in progress. As you can see, I need to put a lot more pictures up. I'll get there eventually. Alright, thanks guys, bye.